Welcome to Adult ypww, Lesson 10. I do not own the rights to this music. Today's topic is pursue. Our lesson text is coming out of 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 10. And that reads, But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. The aim of this lesson is to show how pursuit can be one of the things you do to overcome discouragement. I will read the King James Version first and then the New International Version of the memory verse. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after. The New International Version of Psalms chapter 27, verse 4. One thing I ask from the Lord. The introduction says, What do you do when you feel discouraged? What do you do when you don't feel like doing anything? Do you become paralyzed or immobilized? Do you go home, go to bed, and go to sleep? David was discouraged when he and his men returned from a battle only to discover their city burned and their families captured. David and his men cried, but rather than give in to or succumb to discouragement, David encouraged himself in the Lord. His next steps consisted of putting on a linen ephod and going before the Lord in prayer. The Lord heard and answered his prayer, but David didn't stop there. His battle with discouragement didn't stop with prayer. Then he acted on his prayer. In prayer, he had inquired of the Lord as to what he should do. When the Lord told him to pursue, he did just that. 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 10 says, But David pursued, he and 400 men. The discussion says the opposite of pursuit is retreat. This is what a lot of people are tempted to do when they are discouraged. Rather than run toward their problem, they have this tendency to run from their problem. David was not like that. When Goliath threatened Israel, the Israeli soldiers ran in fear, and that's 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 24. But David did just the opposite. When given the opportunity, he ran toward Goliath. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 48 says, And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. Getting back to our text, David was like the 4 lepers in 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 3. He could not sit still and die. He could not sit there and moan and groan about his situation. He had to get up and do something. Prayer motivated him and activated him. It got him moving in the proper direction. He did not recoil or draw back. He drew nigh to God. And then he drew nigh to his enemy. He pursued. The application says, if you are going to overcome discouragement, you are going to have to do the same thing. You are going to have to get up and get moving. The temptation is to get in bed and go to sleep. But this is just a form of escape. You are not going to get victory trying to escape your problems. You cannot conquer what you do not confront. So you must confront and conquer your problems. Confront and conquer your discouragement. One way to do this is to pursue. Do more than pursue your enemy. Pursue your dreams. Pursue your vision. Pursue your purpose. Pursue your goals. The lesson illustration. We see an illustration of this point in our memory verse. It didn't take too much for David to pursue because he was a go-getter. When David wanted something, he went after it. One of his desires was to spend time in the house of the Lord. He wanted to dwell in the house of the Lord. His ultimate purpose was to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. This desire was something David made a point of pursuing. If you truly desire something, you will pursue it. Don't let discouragement stop you from pursuing worthwhile goals. Be like Olympic contenders that go for the gold. The questions for today's lesson, and you can search the scriptures on your own. Question 1. Have you ever been so discouraged that you felt like staying in the bed? What were you discouraged about? Did you think that sleeping would solve the problem? Question 2. Why do people tend to run from their problems? Is it fear? Question 3. If so, how does a person get the courage to confront and conquer their fears? Question 4. What one desire are you pursuing or should be pursuing? The end. God bless you and thank you for joining me today.